Hello, today we are going to be baking some chocolate chip cookies. So for today you will need some measuring scales to measure the weight of your ingredients, a whisk, you can either use a handheld whisk like this or a food processor, some kind of spoon, either a plastic spoon or a wooden spoon, a big mixing bowl, a sieve, a metal tray, or you can use the tray out of your oven, and some baking paper. So the ingredients you will need are 225 grams of butter, 110 grams of caster sugar, 275 grams of plain flour. If you want to put 1 teaspoon of cinnamon in, you can. Instead, I'm going to put a teaspoon of vanilla extract in, and 75 grams of chocolate chips, but I've got a lot more than that because I like chocolate. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is measure using our measuring scales. You'll need to make sure that your measuring scales at the top are set to 0 before you start measuring. And you'll need to make sure they're at 0 when you put your bowl on top. So if you put your big mixing bowl on top and measure out each ingredient at a time, making sure you've got the right amount. Measure out all of the ingredients that you need. You'll need 225 grams of butter, 110 grams of caster sugar, 75 grams of chocolate chips, and 275 grams of plain flour. If you want to put vanilla essence in, then a teaspoon, or if you want to put cinnamon in, then a teaspoon, or any other spices or things you want to put into yours. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've measured my ingredients. I've got my flour, my chocolate chips, my caster sugar, and my butter. You need to make sure that your butter is soft. So you might need to put it in the microwave for maybe 10-20 seconds just to soften it. You don't want to melt it, just to make it soft. Okay, so the first thing we need to do before we start making our cookies is we need to set our oven to 190 degrees if it's a normal oven. If it's a fan oven, it needs to be 170 degrees, and if it's a gas oven, it needs to be gas mark. You're then going to get your butter and put your butter into your large mixing bowl. And you're going to cream the butter. So you're going to mix the butter either with a spoon or with a whisk or in a food mixer until you've creamed it. The butter will need to be soft for you to do this, otherwise you won't be able to do it. You will then need to add your sugar to your butter and whisk it with your whisk until it becomes nice and light and soft and fluffy. When you've added your caster sugar and your butter and you've mixed them together until they're light and fluffy, you'll need to get your flour and you'll need to sieve your flour into the mixture, and then you'll need to stir it again using the whisk or your wooden spoon until it's all mixed in. When you're mixing your flour in, you might get to the point where you need to use your hands to mix it a bit better because it's becoming more dough-like. When you've mixed it and it's fully mixed in a dough-like form, then you need to add your chocolate chips. Your dough should look something like this. When it's ready, you need to get your chocolate chips and pour your chocolate chips into the bowl. You then need to mix your chocolate chips in and add your cinnamon or your vanilla essence, whatever you're using to flavour it at this point. When your mixture is ready and you've mixed all your ingredients in, this is the point where you can begin to divide your cookies up, put them into small circles, roll them, put it onto your baking tray and gently flatten it with your hand. Do this until you've used all of your dough up. When you've used your dough, pop your cookies into the oven. We're going to cook our cookies for about 10 to 12 minutes, so make sure you've got your eye on the clock ready for when they come out. You should also be checking for when your cookies get golden, because that's the point we're going to take them out. If you have any mixture left over, pop it in some cling film and put it in the fridge and you can cook them another time.